Look, I'm sure by now you have seen a lot of images of what is happening on the streets of Los Angeles. They are everywhere. They're on television, they're on social media. And to be clear, there have been moments where the protests have been very chaotic. And there are moments where they have certainly also been violent. I mean, I'm sure you have seen this image of an autonomous Waymo car lit on fire by protesters many times. I feel like it is all over my social media feed more than almost anything else. And Fox News has been using the image basically like wallpaper. You can see a lot of the examples there to depict the city of LA in a state of complete chaos. What you may not be seeing are scenes like this. This was the scene yesterday outside of the clothing manufacturer that federal immigration agents raided on Friday. These are family members of the people who were arrested, gathering to tell their stories and demanding due process for their loved ones.
I had to witness him being chained up like he was some kind of dangerous animal.
I witnessed how they put my father in handcuffs, chained him from the waist and from his ankles.
The hardest and most painful thing is that my children miss their father. He is our family's sole financial support.
I was present during the raids. I saw with my own eyes the pains of the families, crying, screaming, not knowing what to do, just like me. That's why the families demand free of all workers, legal representation, and due process.
Every day since Friday, Los Angeles has also seen multiple peaceful protests. People coming out in droves to express how upset they are that the Trump administration is rounding up their neighbors and their family members and their friends and people in their community. But these aren't the protests the Trump administration wants you to see. They don't want you to see what you see on the screen right now. They want you to see chaos and violence. They want you to see that Waymo car on fire over and over and over again, which is why it is constantly on Fox News at all moments as if it is a wallpaper backdrop. Because they need that chaos and violence as a pretext to justify their outrageous and likely illegal military intervention. Today, just today, 700 active duty Marines arrived on the ground in Los Angeles. Those 700 active duty troops joined 4,000 National Guard members that President Trump ordered into the city of Los Angeles against the wishes of both the mayor of Los Angeles and the governor of California. And as my mother would say and says often, none of this is on the level. I mean, Trump is insisting that this massive escalation in force is completely necessary. Today, he stood in front of a group of men and women in uniform at Fort Bragg. You can see the footage there, essentially using them as a backdrop in uniform, and absurdly described protests in Los Angeles as attacks of a vicious and violent mob. He's working overtime to spin this as an entirely Los Angeles invented problem. But make no mistake, this problem started in Washington, mainly because of that guy and the guy you just saw. It started with Trump aide Stephen Miller sending an impossibly high quota for immigration agents, tasking the agency with arresting 3,000 people a day. The Wall Street Journal is now painting a very stark picture of the marching orders the White House is giving its immigration agents. The Journal reports that Miller told ICE officials that federal agents needed to just go out there and arrest illegal aliens, as he put it. Agents didn't need to develop target lists of immigrants suspected of being in the U.S. illegally, a longstanding practice, Miller said. Instead, he directed them to target Home Depot, where day laborers typically gather for hire, or 7-Eleven convenience stores. Those are exactly the tactics, by the way, that we all saw play out in Los Angeles this weekend. Today in an LA City Council meeting, the director of the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles said that by her organization's count, at least 300 people have been detained by federal authorities in Los Angeles since last Friday. She said that in addition to the Home Depot and the clothing manufacturer raided on Friday, her group confirmed immigration raids at car washes and a donut shop and on a group of roofers. As she puts it, our communities are being terrorized. We're in a state of terror. People are outraged at what's happening. So, yeah, of course they are. And of course, those tactics led to peaceful protests in the street. And NBC News reports tonight that tactical units from ICE, like the ones we have seen this week in LA, have been told to be ready to deploy to 5 other cities run by Democratic leaders. Two sources familiar with the matter tell NBC News that special response teams, as they're called, teams that use heavy Bearcat-tracked vehicles, long guns, tactical vests, have been ordered to deploy in the following cities: Seattle, Chicago, Philadelphia, the D.C. area, and New York City. And what we are thinking of right now as an L.A. issue, and what we're talking about as an L.A. issue or a California issue, is very much quickly becoming a national issue. And remember the order Trump used to send the National Guard into Los Angeles? Doesn't mention California even once. It's a nationwide order. So Trump pretending these largely peaceful protests warrant troops in the streets of LA matters. I mean, because these protests in no way warrant sending in the National Guard. That's not just a moral statement, or it's not just my personal opinion, which it also is my personal opinion. But legally, importantly, to federalize the National Guard, for the president, any president, to order the National Guard into a state without that state's governor's approval, there needs to be either an invasion, a rebellion, or a belief that the president is unable to execute the laws of the United States. So today, there was a hearing on Capitol Hill, and Congressman Pete Aguilar of California actually asked the Secretary of Defense, the guy who oversees our nation's military, which of those three justifications Trump was using to send the National Guard into L.A.
Invasion by a foreign nation, a rebellion or dangerous rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or the president is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Which authority is triggered here to justify the use?
I don't know. You just read it yourself, and people can listen themselves, but it sounds like all three to me.
Sounds like all three to me. I mean, that was the Secretary of Defense overseeing our nation's military today saying that Los Angeles is currently the site of an invasion, a rebellion, and is a place where the president of the United States is unable to execute the laws of the country. That is their justification to claim they need the National Guard on LA's streets. And when you give the timeline of these orders even the slightest bit of scrutiny, you can see how completely bogus they are. I mean, this is a post of Donald Trump's from 2:41 a.m. on Sunday morning. It is him thanking the National Guard for a job well done, restoring peace to Los Angeles. The issue with that post is that the National Guard didn't start arriving in Los Angeles until about 11 a.m. that day, 8 hours after his post. Then yesterday at 3:44 p.m., Trump was asked specifically if he was planning to send the Marines into Los Angeles. He said, "We'll see." He said that at that moment, they had the situation under control.
Are you planning to deploy Marines in California to address the situation in Los Angeles? Are you going to deploy Marines in California?
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think we have it very well under control. I think it would have been a very bad situation. It was heading in the wrong direction. It's now heading in the right direction.
He said it was under control and heading in the right direction. And yet, half an hour later, the Pentagon deployed 700 active duty Marines to Los Angeles, something the U.S. military does not typically implement in 29 minutes. See, the Trump administration's claims about why they need to send in the military simply don't add up. They're looking to kind of back create justification, to still create it.